All right, Dan Roche with Lou Merloni of NESN. And Lou, we're here finally getting ready to
Yeah,
open up this 2025 season. It seemed like it's been a long off season, a long spring training. I guess let's begin with maybe some of the comments that Alex made when he stepped into the first day of spring training and said, this year's all about winning. That's the bottom line. We're ready. It's not like I got to convince these guys that we're good. We should be good from start to finish. What did you see? Any differences in spring training this year compared to the past couple of years?
I think it's just that attitude, Roche. I mean, you looked at these last 2 years and you're trying to convince yourself, how can this team be competitive? How can they make a playoff spot? And there's a lot of hope. There's a lot that has to go right, right? Everyone's got to stay healthy, paper thin roster. Young kids got to act like they're veterans. And you walk into this year, and some of those kids last year got a year under their belt. You brought in some high end talent, right? Crochet, Bueller, some experience, obviously Bregman as well, Chapman. So I think now you look around, you see the high end talent. You don't have to hope. It's not a paper thin roster. It's an extremely deep roster, pitching and field position players. So there's just that positive feeling like this is a playoff team. And anything short of that would be a major disappointment. And it's been a while since we said that.
Certainly, the talk coming into camp was the big three,
Mm-hmm.
who would emerge, and it looks like Christian Campbell has indeed emerged. Any thoughts on that? Any surprises with those big three? As they certainly all look good, and they're going to be all ready soon.
Yeah, I'm not really any surprises, right? There was some pressure on these kids coming in, maybe less on Marcelo Meyer, but I was really impressed with him. I mean, he probably had the best camp of any of them. But right from the get-go, it seemed like Campbell was going to be the guy at second base. He started off really struggling, and I think he's made great strides defensively. Everybody always focuses on offense, Roach. Like defense, this team's been awful. And it's like he needs to be able to turn a double play. He needs to be a little more consistent. He's very raw. He hasn't really played much second base. The guy I saw when I got down here in February is not the same guy now. He's a quick learner. It's why he's one of the great prospects in the game. He looks solid defensively, turning two. Offensively, it still hasn't clicked. It hasn't. I mean, there's been signs of it. But so I think there's a lot there. They believe in the bat. So they gave him that job. They move on. Meanwhile, Marcelo Myers down in AAA, he has looked fantastic. Infielder goes down, he comes up. Roman Anthony's had a nice camp, maybe not a great camp, but a good camp, and he's put himself in a position to be the first outfielder. So they're just, again, that's part of the depth of this organization. It's what made camp fun. When the regulars came out, in came the kids, and it was just as exciting.
It's exciting. Alex tells Christian Campbell, the Georgia Tech,
Yeah.
roster as far as who's going to make it, and he says he's on it too. So, Lou, take us through that from your experience. You get to that point, you win that second base job. Is it more of a mental battle starting out in April, having that job as a young rookie big leaguer?
Yeah, there's just a lot of pressure, to kind of perform right away. And to be honest with you, I think he's the everyday second baseman. He's on the team. So we'll see how that unfolds. Where he can, because he can play a little bit of left field, but it's a crowded outfield. But I do expect most of his time at second. The problem is like everyone pays so much attention. Players hate the first week of the season, right? Because that's when everyone's like, "Oh, he's 1 for 16. He's awful. He should sit." If you have a 1 for 16 or a 2 for 20 in June, nobody even blinks an eye. So there's two moments, right? Opening day, that first week, and right after the All-Star break. Those are the moments where things are magnified, probably too much. But it's a lot of pressure because you don't want to look up there and see 142. You don't want to look up there and see that you're hitting zero for 3 or 4 games. So he's going to want to perform. He's a young kid, not much experience, less than 2 years out of Georgia Tech. So hopefully he can just relax a little bit. And that's where guys like Alex Bregman come into play, right? That's where guys like Trevor Story come into play. Those guys will help a lot.
Yeah, let's talk about Alex Bregman. That was the big signing. It got done. I thought it was interesting. Tom Caron talking with Ramon Vasquez, and Vasquez said he's like another Alex in
Yeah.
Cora, as far as his baseball IQ and just kind of the way and we heard about it, right? The kind of way he presents himself to his teammates is that he's just a junkie when it comes to baseball. How good is that for this team?
Yeah, it's kind of exceeded my expectations. And I had high expectations for him, because it was the perfect fit in that you want a right-handed bat, you've improved defensively. He's got 99 postseason games played, whereas there really isn't much experience at all in this roster, and you need that. And then off the field stuff, right away, he's kind of sits right next to the big three. He's making road trips. It's nonstop baseball with him. It's nonstop trying to get better. Cora always says he's going to challenge you, and he does. He talks baseball, talks situations. How do we all get better? and he's a good enough player to kind of be able to lead, and know that he's still going to go out there and play the game the right way. And whereas like Trevor Story, right? He's a leader too, but he's just got some stuff going on physically the last couple of years. With Bregman, not the case. So it's a perfect fit. He's settled in nicely, and I think it's already seen some place third base, especially to his left, that just haven't been made in the past.
How do you think the whole transition went? Because it seemed like Alex Cora was kind of saying, I think he could win a Gold Glove at second base. We heard him say that, and yet it just went right away, seemingly from day one of the acquisition in spring training, that it was Devers DHing and Bregman playing third.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about how this was handled, right? I think while they were pursuing Alex Bregman, there was a lot more talk about him being at second base. People saying they should have told Rafi Devers. Maybe they shouldn't have told Rafi Devers. If they did, that it's nonsense and it's just rumors, right? But it's hard to go to Rafi Devers in November and say, hey, we're looking at possibly Bregman. We're possibly looking at Arenado. We want to move you off third. We got to get better defensively, and you're just not the answer. And then all of a sudden, Bregman signs with the Detroit Tigers and Arenado doesn't get traded. And now you go back to him and say, hey, we're sorry. We were just kidding. We really love you. So it's touchy, right? Like the same thing with Casas and all the trade rumors. They're like, no, we were never going to trade you, because they never did. And now they got him in camp. So it's like you're trying to avoid it, and you want to have those conversations only when necessary. So you sign Alex Bregman, and now it's necessary. So the whole thing was a little uncomfortable.
All right, let's talk about the starting rotation. You've been on this, Garrett Crochet bandwagon from day one. He certainly seems as impressive as advertised coming in here as the team's ace.
Well, it's like we said back in June when I first saw this guy and just been following leading up to some of the games against the Red Sox. He was Tariq Skubal. They were hand in hand, the two of them. They're the same guy. It's just that he was coming back from Tommy John, so they had to limit some innings, and the second half got a little crazy for him as far as innings and stuff. So the numbers were different, but that's who he is. He's overpowering. He's one of the most dominant lefties in the game. He still's got to show that he can go 190 innings, right? 200 innings, whatever it may be, 185, but it's there, and we've seen it in camp. 30 strikeouts in 15 2/3. Like, we haven't had a guy like this since Chris Sale being healthy, to where, it takes pressure off the defense. You only maybe have to make 15, 16 outs because he's going to punch out the rest. So this guy is fascinating. He's fun to watch, and hopefully they can work something out so we can watch him for the next 5 years, 6 years at least.
Yeah. Do you think that'll get done, or do you think they'll just kind of go along and wait?
It's so complicated because he could be such a high-end starter. You can't just give him 5 years, 60 million like you did to Bayo and have him be happy, and you could offer him $20 million, right? Because it's nice security for 5 years, but he's sitting there saying, well, if I have the year I think I can, I'm probably worth 35 or 40. So there's this balance of what you need as a person as far as maybe injury history, and he just wants some security, or is he willing to kind of see 1 year as a starter? And then if that's the case, then it's only 1 year to free agency. You know what happens there. So this is very complicated. And if you're the Red Sox, do you give him 30, 35 million after only throwing 146 innings? That's just a reality. So it's a lot more complicated because of the high end, of what he can and can't be.
What do you think of the Passan article on the whole analytics and the kind of blowing up of the front office and kind of getting rearranged here when it comes to how they go about their business? A lot of scouts seemingly let go in this process too.
Yeah, I don't like getting away from the scouts. I am a little old school now. I do believe in getting to know the person is more to do than just seeing stats and seeing guys. And it's like an NFL combine. Yeah, the guy runs and throws well and does everything else, but can he play? What kind of a person is he? And I think that element is very, very important when you're going out and signing a guy and giving a lot of $1 million to and expecting him to be part of the future. So I'm not big on getting rid of the personal scout. I think that still matters a ton, but this is just where the game is. We're pulling up stats. We're pulling up video of performances. We're analyzing swings by data that's in front of us. Hopefully there's a happy medium there, right? Because I don't want to go too far.
Final two, Lou, is when you look at the rest of the rotation, there's depth, thank goodness, right? With, Cutter and Bayo and Giolito behind, they're going to need that depth right out of the chute.
Yeah, and whether depth is good, right? Whether you need it in June or July, I don't know if it really matters. So it's like, so you need it opening day. And the best part about it is the two guys that got that fourth and fifth job and Fitz and Newcomb. Well, I guess Newcomb's not official yet. We don't know, but it leans that way. They went out and won the job because they threw the ball so well. So when you lose 3 starters and you still have 4 options to fill that fourth and fifth spot, that just speaks to the depth. And when Bayo and Giolito come back, whether it's Fitz going down, maybe Newcomb stays, whatever it may be. You've got what you're looking for, what you thought, right? 2 or 3 starters down in AAA that if something goes wrong, and this is where it really went south the last few years, you didn't have that, and everybody grinded it, and that's why everybody has been exhausted come August and September. You've got more depth here, and that's evident here in camp.
And then finally, who closes? Is it going to be Chapman? And then,
Yeah.
and the bullpen certainly has a lot of swing and miss capability.
Yeah, I think Chapman is going to be the closer. Even Liam Hendricks, after his last outing, he doesn't want to give up that job, but you can see that he's, 93. Liam Hendricks, when he's right, he's 96, 97, and everything is swing and miss. I mean, he's fantastic. Now, it might take a while. Like, it's almost like we just talked about him coming back from Tommy John. He also missed a year because he had cancer, and that takes a lot out of your body. So is this one of those things where he just sort of wakes up in May and he starts throwing the baseball, and all of a sudden it's 96, 97. I would expect him to get some of these middle innings, like an inning here, an inning there. I like to call them confidence innings. Go out there, throw the ball well, and get you back into high leverage. But then it'll be Slayton and Whitlock with Chapman. So it's a deep pen. Chapman, I tell you what, 101 here, struck out the side last night. I mean, we know he walks guys, but he also punches guys out left and right.
And how many games are you going to end up doing for NESN? How many are you going to do for radio? Are you going to continue to do your walking and talking and your James Taylor walking man type of stuff with baseball?
Listen, my dogs need exercise. Okay. So I've got to get out there and do the right thing with them. But yeah, I'm excited. I think NESN, with the national games, we do probably, 148 in that range. Usually I'll do about 100 of them, 100, maybe touch more. But radio side, we're still trying to figure that out. But TV would be about 100. So looking forward to it. And it all kicks off Sunday, Roche, as you know. We got opening day, first pitch, 4 o'clock, coverage on NESN at 2:30. I think an extra half hour for opening day. You can watch it, NESN 360 as well. I know everyone's excited to just play this game tonight, get out of Mexico, get to Texas, and get this thing going.
Yeah, Thursday should be a lot of fun. You're good hands with a Syracuse grad and Dave O'Brien, so you're all good.
I sure am. Absolutely. It's good to see him off of his NCAA basketball tour to get him back talking baseball.
I know. Nice of him to fit you in. Isn't that great?
It is. It's special.
Lou, always a pleasure. Thank you very much, and have a great season.
Yeah, you too, Roche. I'll see you soon, buddy.